you want. You have a lot of freedom on that paper. But the one thing you want to focus on is making sure that you keep your lines light and that you just have fun with this. So be very loose with your lines. Don't focus on making them perfect. The more you have fun, the more your sketch will come out better. You'll notice that. All right. So there we go. There's my circle. I'm going to add in some basic lines to help us anchor down the features for this character. So we're going to start off with some curved lines here. From top to bottom, I'm going to add a line that looks like a letter C that's going to wrap around my shape here. So I'm going to have it wrapping around towards the right-hand side of my circle. It's more of a backwards letter C. But we're creating this surface that's a little bit more dimensional as opposed to that flat circle that we started off with. We're also going to add in one more line from left to right, and this will be more of a stretched out rainbow, but it will also be wrapping around our shape. I'm bringing this line all the way across as if this is just completely wrapping around the front of the surface of the circle here. All right, now that is our foundation. So we're going to add in some outlines for his face first, that we know where everything is going to go right in the center. On either side, we're going to continue these lines, these curved lines from our circle, and we're just going to imagine as if they were to go straight on down, keeping that curve. We're bringing these on both sides of our circle here, just a little bit longer on either side, almost as if this is a circle sitting on top of a cup. Now to help us out just a little bit, we can bring down this center line that we created too. Just have that one go straight down, the length is the other two. Now we also need to find a base. Since we're doing a portrait of Piglet, we're not going to do his entire body. We're going to close him off at about his neck. So at the bottom here where these lines are kind of just hanging out in midair, we're going to close these off with two curved lines that almost come to a point right at that center guideline. And Piglet, being so cute and fluffy that he is, we're also going to see one of his cheeks kind of puff out just a little bit on one side. So over on the right-hand side here, we have our horizontal guideline that's just kind of coming down a little bit on the edge of our circle. I'm just going to bring this and wrap it around and have it go right back down to where I gave my guidelines the end of his neck here. So right down towards the bottom, go ahead and bring that line wrapping right down to that. And we'll see a little bit of that cheek just kind of puff out there. Now, this is going to be our outline for Piglet, so we can start adding in the features for him now. We're going to start off with his nose. It's a good anchoring point since it's right in the center. And he has a piglet nose, so it's going to be a triangle that has some round corners. It's not going to be a pointy one. It almost looks like a Dorito chip or a guitar pick shape. So here we have both our lines creating this plus sign right in the center. What I'm going to do is go over to the right of that just a little bit, and that's where I'm going to start this nose. I'm just bringing these two curved lines on either side, almost to create like a gumdrop even, and then curve it right down at the bottom here with one more line. Now this is going to be the very first feature that we lock in, so I'm going to go throughout this entire shape here and make sure that I'm just darkening in my lines, or my favorite lines, making this stand out just a little bit more. And if you want, you can even add in some contrast in the beginning here, just by shading just a little bit in the inside. You don't want to give it a dark shade, just a light shaded gray, just to really make that stand out some more. Now, because he does have a piglet nose, it looks like a snout, so we're going to add in a snout line here at the top. They'll curve right on up into our vertical construction line. Now, right at the bottom, we're going to place his smile. He's a nice, big, happy smile. And because it's so big, he's going to have what's called smile lines. Now, we'll get these too. If you have a nice, big smile like he does, you're going to get little creases in the inside of your cheeks. Those are our smile lines. And we're going to have a rainbow represent his on the left-hand side of his face, just about level with his nose here. I'm going to bring an invisible line over next to the edge of my circle, and I'm going to add in this tiny rainbow shape. Now from the center of that rainbow shape, I'm going to bring a stretched out letter U that's going to go all the way over to the other side of his nose and touch just at the very edge there. It's going to be the top of that smile. Now I'm still keeping all of my lines very light so that when I'm happy with the location of them, I can then go back and darken in my line. Now this is where the eraser comes in. Since we don't have one, if you find that there's a line that you need to make an adjustment on, you're not happy with the one that you placed down, just place one in there that you do want to keep, and then that's the one you'll darken in, and you'll notice everything else will fade away. All right, so we're going to open up this smile just a little bit. From the center of that smile line, once again, I'm going to bring down this curved letter J that's going to sit right on my vertical line once again. It's going to go down and curve on up just a little bit. Now to close off the front of this smile, I'm just going to bring another curved line and touch right back down to the edge of that letter J. And now it's going to be like this really weird looking letter U shape for that smile. And with this mouth open up like this, we're missing a feature that sits on the inside, right? What are we missing?
Tongue.
His tongue, yeah. And he is a plush character after all, so he's going to have what looks like a plush tongue. It's going to be this little curved hill that's going to sit right in the inside towards the bottom. And once you have all these features in place, then you can go back and just really make all of these lines stand out nice and dark here. Just lock all of these lines in. And once again, with some contrast here for the inside of his mouth, you can shade all of the inside except for his tongue, and that'll really make that stand out. With his mouth open like this too, we're also going to see a little bit of his chin, and that's just going to be a curved line that's going to sit right below his open mouth smile, almost looking like a comma or just a really stretched out C. Now with all of these steps, that was a lot. We've reached our halfway point, so how are we doing? Pretty good? All right. So we got some mixed review there, but I like to ask my next question a lot because usually I'll get the same answer from everybody. Are we having fun?
Yes.
Very good. Oh, you were super excited to answer right away. Very nice. Okay, now the fact that you were having fun means you're still doing everything 100% correct. So don't be so hard on yourself if your artwork isn't going exactly the way you want it to. All right, now we're going to move on up, and we're going to add in a feature for Piglet that's pretty much where he gets all of his expression. And we get our expression from this feature, too. Can you guess which one it is? The eyes, yeah. Now, his eyes are rather small because he is a small character, so he's going to have these little tiny button or like little beady eyes. And they're going to be some circles that are going to sit right on top of our horizontal guideline there. Now, you don't have to make them circles. You can even make them ovals if you want, but just keep in mind that they are going to be rather small. So the placement for these eyes, I'm going to have one sitting right above his nose here on this horizontal guideline. And I'm keeping them very light. Then I'm going to have one sitting right above his smile line here. I'm going to go up to that horizontal guideline, and that's where I'm going to place that second eye. Now once I'm happy with the location, I'm going to lock these in as well. And since we have this smile line here, we want to make sure we can see the cheek that it's pushing up on. So below the eyes, I'm going to add in this little hill to really bring up those eyes. Now he looks really happy. Once we have those locked in, we're going to use the point of our pencil. We're going to press down nice and hard, and this is going to be the darkest part of our sketch. So press down nice and hard here and completely darken in these pupils. These will make them stand out more than anything else on your sketch, and that's also what we would call a focal point. All pieces of artwork will have this, whether it's a painting, a sketch, a drawing, anything, they'll have a focal point, and that's the very first thing that your eyes will look at when they see it. Another form of expression we have on our face aside from our eyes are going to be our eyebrows. They move up and down to show whether we're happy, we're shocked. Any of those emotions will be shown through those eyebrows as well. And he has some small ones, the same as his eyes. They're nice and small. Tiny rainbows that'll sit right above here on each eye. Now, we almost have this guy finished here, but we're missing one final feature, aren't we? What are we missing?
Ears.
Yeah, you know, that's correct. I can't say that's not the right answer. We are missing his legs, indeed. But since we are doing a portrait, which means we're only doing his face, we're missing a feature on the top of his head, right? The ears. Exactly. Now, he has these Piglet ears. They're nice and floppy, and they actually consist of two shapes, a C and an S. It sounds really weird, but once we start sketching it, you'll notice what I'm talking about. We have one ear that's going to sit right in between our vertical line and our horizontal line, in between these two right here. It's going to sit right above his eyes, alongside the curve of your circle. So I'm just giving myself a guideline as to where that ear is going to sit. Now as for the other one, this is going to sit closer to our vertical construction line on the edge of our circle. And I'm just going to darken that in a little bit as well. Now for that C shape I was talking about, that's going to sit on the bottom half of this line here. I'm going to keep it very light in case I need to make an adjustment at all. I'm going to bring out this boomerang, almost like a C-shaped curve here, very lightly. And I'm just going over and over again with a series of these in case I need to use one that I like better. Now to close off this ear, I'm going to add in an S-shaped curve. And I'm keeping these very light right now. Now for the other ear, I'm doing the same thing. I'm going to add in this C-shaped curve at the top by our vertical construction line. And then I'm going to close this one off with an S-shaped curve. Now the reason why we're keeping these light as well is a lot of times when we're creating these shapes, we're going to have some points at the top of his ears, and we don't want that because they'll start to resemble horns, and he is a very friendly character who should not have horns. So we're going to close off these ears at the very top with a round edge. We're going to start by going over the lines that we sketched out. Just find your favorite line that you like best. And as we get up to the top of those ears, I'm just going to round off that point and make it look nice and friendly. I'm going to do the same thing with the other one. I'm just locking in my lines now and rounding off any sharp edges that I might have. All right, with that in place, I'm going to go back in and I'm going to start locking in the rest of his face. And that, we did not get a chance to lock that in yet. So let's go back and make sure that we do that and get all of those lines that we want to keep nice and dark here. I'm also going to darken in the bottom part of his neck. And if you want, you can even add in the first stripe of his onesie that he wears. Just add another line here at the bottom. You can even shade that in, just to show that this is part of his shirt. After that, we've pretty much done it. The only thing we really have left to do as artists is sign our artwork. So find a blank spot next to this friendly character here that we've just created and sign your name. There you go, your very own portrait of Piglet.